Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us today. My name is Nikki, and I'm a student advisor with Flinders University. So I will be coming in a little bit later to speak a little bit about the application process. But with me today, I do have Ingo, who will be speaking, I guess, about all of the Bachelor of Science specialisations that Flinders offers and the Bachelor of Science itself. I would just like to remind you that for today's webinar, there's no need for you to have your microphone turned on or your camera. So please feel free to turn at least your microphone off so that we decrease as many sounds as possible. And if you would like to have your camera on, you're more than welcome to, but there's certainly no need for it for our presentation. I will also invite you to type any questions you have into the chat bar. In the chat function, we'll be able to look at your questions and answer them for you live on today's webinar. If they're relevant to what we're speaking about at the time, I'll certainly bring them to Ingo's attention and we can perhaps discuss them right then and there, but perhaps we might leave them to later in the webinar as well, perhaps more towards the end side of things. So again, please just a reminder to turn your microphone off at all times, and also your video is not required. But I think what I'll do right now is hand it straight over to Ingo and you can lead the way. Thank you very much for joining us.
Okay, thank you. Well, thank you, Nikki, for inviting me, and hello and welcome from Flinders. So my name is Ingo Köper. I'm an academic in the College for Science and Engineering here at Flinders University. Flinders University has 6 colleges where we organize all our life, and one of them, the best one, is the College of Science and Engineering, where the Bachelor of Science is hosted, and that's basically what I will be talking mainly about with you today. So I'll give you maybe a bit of background what I am. You might have heard I'm not Australian, I'm German. I came 10 years ago and love it since day one. And so I'm an academic. I'll do research, I'll do teaching. I'm a chemist by training, but I'm also involved in overlooking the teaching in a whole range of science degrees. Good. So you're hopefully here because you have an interest in science and you like science and maybe you want to study science. So I will tell you a little bit about what we do in that area and what we can do for you to give you the tools to become a scientist afterwards. So I mean, science has a lot of different flavors, right? You can be the scientist that explodes things in their basement or in their backyard. My brother always did this. I never did this. Or you can be a biologist who wants to look for a new life, or you can be a scientist who wants to build the next spaceship that brings us to Mars. Or maybe develop the tools to then find life there, if there is. So, but importantly, science is really a core discipline in our life, and we need more and more scientists to develop new things, to educate people, to actually have the scientific skills to make good decisions about what we should do with our life, with our Earth as well. So at Flinders, there are basically 3 different flavors where you can do science, or 3 levels if you want. So there's the Bachelor of Science, which is a 3-year degree. There's an ATAR level that you have to go in, more or less, and there are different flavors, majors and specializations in there, and I'll tell you a little bit about this in a minute. So this is our 3-year standard degree, where basically you end up with the Bachelor of Science, and we'll talk in the end what you can do with this, but basically you are a scientist in a specific discipline. And there are a lot of jobs where you can apply for them. If you want to do a little bit more, you can already directly start in a 4-year degree. So this is a Bachelor of Science with honors, where you do a 3-year Bachelor of Science and then add 1 year of honors, which is you do a research project, you learn a little bit more about science, about your specific discipline. You become a little bit more of an expert. Just 2 hours ago, I spoke with somebody from industry, like a colleague at BHP, and she said they're really looking basically for people with 4-year degrees to employ. the job market for people with 4-year degrees is getting much bigger than the job market for people with 3-year degrees. So there might be, you should think about what you want to do and whether this extra year, it might sound long, but the outcome can be quite good. The entry levels is a little bit higher, but there is a lot of flexibility in what we do about this. At the top end, we have the High Achievers program. If you are really interested in research, for example, if you have a very high ATA, we have a special program, and I'll say 5 words about this towards the end. So, but no matter what, which degree you choose, or which stream you choose, what you'll have to do is you'll have to look, what is your passion? Where is your interest? And then you have to choose a major that you want to follow. And here there's a list of all the majors we have, which goes from biology over chemistry, over environmental sciences, to physics, and so there's a whole range of science. Typically, you have a rough idea which area of science you are. You're typically a scientist, a chemist, or a physicist. There's rarely a physicist who knows that or also have an interest in biology. So it's often pretty clear, but the boundaries between these disciplines, they are a bit gray. So you can move around a bit between this, and sometimes they blend into each other. Especially in the future, like new jobs are typically looking for people that can cross these boundaries and talk across these boundaries. So typically, when you do a Bachelor of Science, you pick a major or you pick a specialization. Now, the difference between these two is that in a major, you have a core that you do in your discipline and you fill that with other science or other subjects. The specialization has a bit more content in this niche area. So you can do a major in animal biology, for example, where you do a little bit about animals, how they behave, or you can do essentially 50% more in the specific area. I'll talk about this in a few minutes again. So the major and a Bachelor of Science, in a way, it's again this entry pathway. You choose what you want to do, you choose a broad area, and what you'll get is a broad-based foundation in science with focus on a very specific area. Now, we really make sure that you get the knowledge foundation in your area, but we add additional skills as well. So you will be taught about transferable research, you'll taught communication skills, other skills that you can apply across the board. I will talk about double degrees in a few minutes as well. Now, a typical Bachelor of Science program looks like this, that in your first year, you do specific topics in your major. Now, I should say at Flinders, we do topics. This is the subject that you do. One semester, a full load consists of 4 topics, so there are 8 topics in a year that you do. In a typical Bachelor of Science program, in the first year, you do 2 core topics in your specific discipline, plus other topics in other science areas, and plus some electives. And then in the second and third year, you do basically 4 topics in your major. So if you study, like me, chemistry, you basically do 2 core topics in chemistry each semester, plus, and you add different other science topics or whatever. There's a lot of range that you can choose from. Now, we are putting more and more emphasis in making sure our graduates are ready for work. So as of this year, we actually have added work integrated learning into all our Bachelor of Science degrees. So once you reach year 3, we have a specific work integrated learning topic where you work on a real industry project. So this is quite exciting. Now, if you are really passionate about your specific niche or your specific area, and you want to study more, So you can do a Bachelor of Science in a specific specialization. The difference to the standard Bachelor of Science is, well, one, the entry requirements are a bit higher, but we have picked a few topics and added them to the standard Bachelor of Science that will give you a bit more knowledge in this specific area. So there's a bit less flexibility because we prescribe more what you do, but it pushes you, or it gives you a more concrete set of knowledge and topics. So you can combine degrees. You can do a Bachelor of Science and combine this with a different degree from Flinders. There are just a few that are as an example. So you can combine a Bachelor of Science with a Bachelor of Laws, for example. How that individual would look for you, we would need to talk with you on a one-on-one basis, but we try to build whatever combination of degrees you want. We can't always guarantee that it is absolutely streamlined, but we'll try our best. And I've seen a few examples where this really worked nicely, where people had two different passions and could them bring together to get actually a good portfolio out in the end. Now we also have, if you have an interest in science, but also would do something more in the arts, we have a specific degree that's called the Bachelor of Arts and Science. It's a 3-year degree where you basically pick a major in the science and a major in the arts and marry these together. Now, one of my colleagues once told me there are about 400 different combinations that you can pick. So the sky is the limit. Whatever you want, we can try and fit this somehow together. Personally, I don't know if there is a place for somebody doing history combined with molecular biosciences. But if that is your passion, we can definitely work with you to make that happen. I mean, it's clearly something where if you would do criminal justice and chemistry, for example, well, that would fit nicely together. You become an expert and could advise lawyers about science problems, for example. Now, typically what people want to know, so I'll do this, what can I do with this? How do I earn much money out, right? We all want to become rich in the end. So the it's kind of a problem or an advantage with a Bachelor of Science or a Bachelor of Arts and Science is that it's not a vocational degree. Right? If you study nursing, you'll become a nurse. If you study law, you'll probably become a lawyer or a judge. If you study science, there is a whole range of opportunities where you can go and where you can apply your science skills. Right? Academia is one, but aerospace industry, business, defense, education, they all need science skills, and actually more and more. So here's just a few lists of possible jobs that you can get, but this is really just a little list. It is probably endless where you can actually apply your skills. I always remember when I studied chemistry, and all the physicists that studied with us, they were hired by banks because they really needed these people with the specific skills of critical thinking, data analysis, more than the mathematicians actually. So there's a lot of applications where you can go with a Bachelor of Science or with a science background. Of course, you can study further, right? I already mentioned the honors. We offer a range of master's degrees as well, or then you can go towards a PhD and do a doctorate. And the advantage, or what we really do to make this happen and open this possibility, is that we not only focus on the scientific knowledge, on the detailed knowledge, but we equip you, the students, with additional skills. We do a lot about communication. We do a lot about scientific writing, about writing in general. We do a lot about teamwork, professional skills, professional development, and all this bundled together. We talk about entrepreneurial skills. So we'll try to equip our graduates really so they are ready to go and find a good job afterwards. So I mentioned honors. I'll just have one more slide on honors as well, because I think that is becoming more and more important to build on the 3-year degree and do a little bit more, because honors is basically 1 year where you do one research project, one extensive research project. It's the first time we can really focus for almost a year on one specific question or one specific problem. And it's not so much what you do, it's how you do it and all the additional things that you pick up. Basically, we'll train you to become an independent researcher or an apprentice independent researcher in this area, which is very important later on if you want to get a good job somewhere. Now, for those of you that have a very high ATAR and are very motivated and high-flying, passionate lovers of science, we have a High Achievers program. So this is for really ATARs of 95 and above, where we basically give you the freedom to pick something in science. We'll build your degree with what you really are interested in, and then we'll give you a lot of research opportunities. There's a lot of mentoring with academic staff. So typically our High Achievers program leads to, so it's a 4-year degree, so they do an honors, but probably 50% definitely do a PhD afterwards. It focuses a little bit into science and research, but we also start opening this up towards other areas. We'll basically want to educate the future leaders in science using this program. Now, I've talked a little bit about research, and science and engineering at Flinders University is really where the research is happening. So this is a slide from the university. I didn't make this slide, but I find it quite interesting because it highlights the major research areas in the university. So autonomous vehicles is done in the College of Science and Engineering. Clean technology is done in the College of Science and Engineering. So is energetic materials. Health and medical, we'll do a little bit in this. The rest is done in a different college. But labor and industry transformation, our colleagues in engineering do this. Marine and maritime research, we do this. Medical devices, we do this. Nanotech, we do this. Analytical chemistry, we do this. Psychology, a little bit. Neuroscience, we do a little bit. Water and the environment is also in our college. So the research expertise at Flinders University really sits within the College of Engineering. So it's a very good place to actually study science in your area that you like with people that actually know what we're doing. And I might hand over to Nikki for some
Thank you.
Technical things?
Yeah, sure. So we have some really great questions coming through as well. So I'll just, before we answer those questions, I will just run you through the application process. I understand most of you have probably actually already done this, and so this may not be relevant to you, but even though it does say the applications have closed as of Monday, 30th of September, I will let you know that that was a soft close. So if you haven't applied yet, it's not too late. You certainly still can submit a SATAC application. You just will need to pay a late fee that goes with it, unfortunately. The first round of offers, which all of our science offers will be made, the first round of science offers will be made, will be on Friday, December 20 this year. So it's a little bit earlier this year than what's happened in previous years. But then if you don't receive an offer on that date, please don't stress out, give us a call, because it might be something as simple as you forgot to pay your SATAC application fee, or we can have a look in your SATAC application and perhaps check why you're not receiving an offer. If you don't receive an offer, there's every chance that you may receive one in a later offer round, and those offer rounds will start on January 10th, and they'll continue to be made right up until the start of semester. So please don't hesitate to get in touch with us when it does come to your SATAC application. It's really important as well that you have your backup options in place. So what I mean by that is if you're shooting for perhaps the Bachelor of Science enhanced program for high achievers, even if you don't think you're going to get the score you need to get into that degree, please always list that as your first preference on your SATAC application. Then perhaps, because we do consider other factors as well, apart from just your school results. We do consider things like if you've done a TAFE certificate or the Flinders Uni test, or you've done well in Research Project B, we can take all of these things into consideration. If you are a school leaver, or sorry, if you're not a school leaver, if you've been out of school for quite some time, we have lots of pathways into university for you as well. Your ATAR will still stand as long as you haven't studied at university for the equivalent of 2 years of full-time study or more. So you can still use your school results no matter how long ago it was, as long as you haven't studied for more than 2 years. But again, if you're unsure of your pathway into university, please give us a call on our number here, and we can talk you through all of your pathway options. But I did get a little bit sidetracked. I was talking a little bit about backing up your options. So this is where if you do want to apply for the Bachelor of Science Enhanced Program for High Achievers, or your Bachelor of Science Honours, or a Bachelor of Science Specialisation, please make sure you have at least one other science preference listed underneath it. So no matter what, if you're applying for a Bachelor of Science, Honours, Specialisation or Enhanced Program for High Achievers, list the Bachelor of Science somewhere below in your lower preferences just in case. Then perhaps, if you are applying for the Bachelor of Science Enhanced Program, list that as your first. Then you can list the Bachelor of Science Honours as your second preference. You can even list the Specialisation as your third, and then the Bachelor of Science as your fourth. If you're unsure of what to do, again, please call us on this number here. This is exactly what we're here to do. We get hundreds of phone calls from applicants each day asking about their SATAC application and making sure that it's all in order where you're perhaps most likely to receive an offer. So we'll get through some of these questions that have come through. I think we've answered a few of them as we've gone along. The mature age student one I've just answered. The double degree as well.
So does it matter if I had an ATAR of only 20 years ago?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so then if your ATAR was a little bit lower, then we'd perhaps look at other ways of boosting or perhaps giving you a second basis of admission. And the same goes for school leavers as well.
Probably if I've worked for 20 years, they must count for something.
Yeah. Well, sometimes, some courses.
Okay.
So we could look at sitting the STAT or the Foundation Studies program to generate a second basis of admission. Mm-hmm. But yeah, a really good point. In regards to the double degree side of things, I think that was fairly well covered. If you're unsure what a science degree can be combined with, what I would recommend you do, well, this is going to test me, go to flinders.edu.au/combined degrees. That will give you a list of all of your options that you can combine your science degrees with. So that was flinders.edu.au/combined degrees. Basically, though, any of the two sciences can be combined together. We have a few students combining engineering with science as well. One of our students is doing biomedical engineering with a Bachelor of Science Physics. So it does happen a lot, and it certainly increases your career opportunities, as you mentioned. So certainly have a look at that page.
And even I would, even if it's maybe not listed there, get in here and we will work with you to build a degree that suits your passion.
Yeah, cool.
We really try everything to put a program together that interests you.
We have a lot of very passionate academics here as well who are very happy to help you. So please utilize that. I think, what else have we got? Is it possible to do a Bachelor of Arts and Science Honours? Did you want to answer this one, or would you like me to?
Go ahead.
Oh, well, from my understanding, when it comes to the honours side of this, you then have to choose which pathway you're going to go down, whether you're going to do your honours in your arts major or your science major. So it wouldn't be a Bachelor of Arts and Science Honours, it would be a Bachelor of Arts Honours year or a Bachelor of Science Honours year at the end of that. That's my understanding with that side of things as well.
Yeah, but we certainly could look into projects that cross that boundary and do a Bachelor of Science honors in science, so a science project with an arts focus or something.
Yeah, again, we've got supportive academics who are helping all our students constantly. What are the compulsory electives for the Bachelor of Science? So probably the best way to do this is to explain how you can view this information on the website. So if you go to the course study page on our Flinders website, so even if you type it into the search bar, Bachelor of Science, brackets, animal behaviour, or just the Bachelor of Science, one of the first page results should be that course page. About halfway down that page, there'll then be a course overview where it'll give you a bit of a rundown of what to expect in each year of your study. But then underneath that table, there's a yellow button that says what you will study. And that yellow button then provides you all of the topics, it's called the course rule or study plan, all of the topics that you'll be studying as part of your degree. If it says core topics above it, they're topics you have no choice in doing. You have to do those to walk away with the degree that you want. But then sometimes it has option topics or elective topics, and that's where you get your choice a little bit more.
Typically, all our degrees will have electives that are completely free, where you can pick any topic from across the university.
Yeah, right.
So I had students doing a Bachelor of Science in chemistry and doing topics in ancient Greek or history.
Just to cater for their interests.
Add to it.
That's great, and that's a really great thing about science because not all degrees have that flexibility. Can you go back and do an honours for the second major later on? Is this in relation to... Can you go back to doing an honours for the second major? Oh, as in do 2 honours projects, I think?
2 honours projects is difficult because there would be too much overlap between them. So you can't do 2 science honours degrees.
Yeah, it would be a bit tricky, but you could perhaps go on and look at doing a PhD, maybe in a similar or varied study area, but...
Or again, we could find a research project that goes across 2 areas.
Yeah. So sorry, that one's not a great response for you, but hopefully that answers your question a little bit. And I think we've covered... Oh, no, there's one's just come through. When you choose an art major and a science major for the Bachelor of Arts and Science, is it possible to choose other related majors that aren't on the lists?
I think you can. Again, it would be a question of talking with somebody here and picking out what you really would want. We try to make almost everything possible. And I don't really see any objections why we couldn't combine 2 different majors.
Yeah. It might just be that if there's not enough topics within that specific major area, that it won't count as a major. It might be that it would depend on quite a few things. I think it would be chatting to your course coordinator and seeing what those options are, as it will vary quite a bit case by case.
Assistance in study habits. Now, Flinders has, I've been here for 10 years. Now, Flinders has transformed quite significantly in the last 10 years. It starts with, they're completely new buildings, which are all about study groups, helping students study and learn. Our library is not a quiet space anymore. They're all spaces where students can work in groups. And in most of our topics actually help this. There's a lot of group work that is built in with support that we give and to make sure you succeed. We are interested in students succeeding and we try to put as much help that we can do.
I think there's a bit of a misconception out there that once you get to university, you're on your own, you're fending for yourself. And that is a massive misconception, I guess. Once you get to university, yes, you're treated independently and as an adult, but at the same time, there's lots and lots of different support networks out there. The only difference between perhaps school and university is the fact that you need to seek those support systems. So we have a student learning lounge. We have lots of Flinders groups. We have tutorials where you can chat to your tutor kind of in a more intimate setting rather than a large lecture theatre with 300 other students in it. There's a careers team, we have Flinders Connect, so there's lots of support systems in place. It's just a matter of seeking those out. And one of the best ways to do that and get familiar with the support systems in place is to come along to O Week, because they are all on show there as well, and people can perhaps point you in the right direction.
And if I may add this, I mean, some people call themselves oldies, or we call them mature age students. Flinders has a really high proportion of mature age students, which we call everybody 25 and above, I think.
I think it might, yeah.
So if you have had a life before, you're not fresh out of high school, you will not be the only one doing it. I mean, I'm teaching at the moment a first year nanotechnology topic. I think the oldest student is about 60.
Yeah, right.
I have an honors student at the moment. She's older than I am.
So yeah, there's lots of diversity.
There's lots of diversity, yeah.
Would you have 2 separate classes for the Bachelor of Arts and Science? So I guess the best way to answer this is that university isn't like school. You don't necessarily, if you're in the Bachelor of Science, you don't start with your Bachelor of Science group and then continue on through all of your classes in that same group. Especially with the Bachelor of Science, you're scattered everywhere. You may have one topic with one group of students, another topic you may have some health students studying that same topic because it's part of their course rule, or some psychology topics. So you're mixed in constantly. So,
I mean, especially in first year, there are some topics, they're very big. There are students from 25 different degrees taking this topic.
Yeah. So you won't be in its own classes. It will be lots of separate classes for all of your different topics. You'll certainly have some familiar faces in some of your science classes, and especially later in this degree as well. But in the first few years, it's all sorts of people. It's a good mix.
There's a lot of opportunities to make friends.
Yeah. Flinders does a really good job of that, really nurturing friendships, and we are really unique in having the hub and plaza because we're based a little bit out of the city. It means that our students tend to stay on campus in between classes and lectures and labs rather than perhaps go home or into the city. So we do have a really great name for that community spirit that goes on here. Okay.
I don't think there are any pre-requirements to pick a major.
No, not within the Bachelor of Arts. I think maybe what you're thinking is the Bachelor of Creative Arts, which is different to the Bachelor of Arts. Some of our creative arts specialisations, you do need to provide a portfolio of your work, but within the Bachelor of Arts majors, there's no prerequisites for that. Okay, I think we might leave it there because we've actually gone over time. But if you do have any questions at all, if you do think of anything, again, please feel free to email them through to that email address that you see up on the screen. That will come through to the Office of Student Recruitment and we'll be able to help you out. That number there, the 1300 number, you'll get prompted to press a number. Once you get through to that, option 1 will come straight through to myself and my team and we can answer any of your questions. If there's any questions we can't answer, I will be sure to pass them on to Ingo, and I'm sure he'll be delighted to help you out with any of those more specific questions as well. But I think in the meantime, for those of you that are in Year 12, good luck with the next few weeks.
Yep.
You're almost there. Hang in there, and hopefully we will see you all on campus next year. And thank you very much again, Ingo, for helping us out tonight.
My pleasure, and hope to see you next year.
Beautiful. See you later, guys.